Hey folks, Lever here once again. Welcome back to another review. Hope you enjoyed my review of Teen Titans Judas Contract. It's been like 10 days since I've done a review. I'm sorry guys. Just been busy with work. Amongst I went to Georgia to visit my mom, my grandfather, who was not doing very well by the way, so I went to go see him. I saw a car show last weekend on Saturday. That was fun. So hopefully have a weekend here some more reviews. Yeah, and stuff. But anyway. Oh, I got my phone fixed. But anyway. Sorry for the brightness. But anyway, guys, what I've been doing on this channel, remember, it's the mask profile picture. Thank you guys for the 228 subscribers on this channel. Remember, the mask profile picture is the YouTube channel. Is my channel. Is my YouTube channel. So stay subscribed to this one. You can watch videos on another one with the Batman Mask of the Phantasm profile picture. Don't subscribe. Don't sub to that one. Stay subscribed to this one. And guys, what I've been doing on my channel here, my new channel here, is a superhero marathon. I've been reviewing what I call the 2010s era of decades of superhero movies. These are the superhero movies that came out in the year 2010 to 2019, and right now I'm on the year 2017. I reviewed about four movies. Well, I reviewed the Lego Batman movies, the Lego Batman movie. I reviewed two other Batman animated movies, but on my other channel that was Batman Harley Quinn, Batman vs Two Face, which I will add those reviews uh sometime eventually, but not too long. But they are my Batman marathon. Go check those out. But I did review those. Just go on my Batman marathon that I added on this channel, and you can watch this from my other channel. You can watch, just don't subscribe. If you want to know my opinion on the three Batman animated movies, the Lego Batman movie, Batman and Harley Quinn, and Batman vs Two Face. Now this review, this film is a sequel to the 2014 movie. This is a Marvel review. That is not a revisit review. This is my first Marvel review that is not a revisit review on this channel. And this is the 15th film in the MCU. This is a sequel to the Guardians of the Galaxy that came out in 2014. Yeah, that movie's what, 11 years old now? No, I'm sorry, 10 years old. 10 years old. But this sequel came out in 2017, and I'm talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I love this sequel. This was really fun. I do think the first one is better, but in my opinion, this is just as good as the first one. I may have a little bit of issues, but not too much, but this is still a very entertaining sequel. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was very entertaining. Uh, you know, and some really good cast in here. Cast once again is all good. Yeah, this was good. I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And it's once again directed by James Gunn and starring, of course, Chris Pratt. So it's on Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, and of course we get the new character here, as you can see here, Mantis, and of course Karen Gillan comes back as Nebula. You get Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone's in this movie as well. Not a lot in there, but it's awesome that all three of them got to be in the same movie again. Then share scenes, well, anyway, I'll get to that later. Anyway, let's get to how Guardians 2. Of course, you can say it got made because the first Guardians was a hit. And of course, with the Avengers movies making billions of dollars, of course, they were going to make a sequel because Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, when after the first movie came out, I didn't think it was interesting. When it came out, I was like, okay, this ain't gonna be good. But that movie was a big hit, and I was excited for this sequel when it came out, when it was announced, when they were coming. I knew they were gonna come with it. Yeah, it was announced before the first film, though. Yeah, director James Gunn says, who wrote the film and directed it, says there are general ideas for what the sequel is and where it goes and who's involved and what happens and what we find out about our characters. So it's very general and that could change. But I know a lot of people a lot about who these characters are and where they came from and where they're going. I was excited about possibly creating a sequel because we had to do a lot of setup in the first movie. With the sequel, we don't have to do that setup, which will make it so much easier for me. In May 2014, Disney CEO Bob Iger, who I think should be fired, by the way, but that's just me, said he felt the first Guardians of the Galaxy has strong franchise potential. He added that the goal was to create another Avengers. James Gunn, who directed and co-wrote the first film, said that he would like to return for a sequel that he potentially was contractually obligated to do if asked. The next month, producer Kevin Feige said, there are places we can take this franchise. We have ideas where we'd like to go based on the wide array of characters, worlds, and storylines from the comics. So last 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy co-screenwriter Nicole Perman confirmed a sequel, saying it was going to happen. Due to the positive response to the first movie, of course, and that Gunn would write and direct it once more. At San Diego Comic Con, soon after the sequel was given a release date of July 28th, 2017, Gunn had begun working on the film within a month and said it would include at least one new Guardian from the comics. In October, Gunn confirmed that all 5 original Guardians will return for the sequel, along with other supporting characters, and the release date was moved up to May 5th, 2015, which this film was released in May of that year. In the following months, Michael Rooker said he returned as Yondu and was looking forward to exploring new areas of the character. Chris Pratt came back. Bradley Cooper is mentioned returning. Vin Diesel was confirmed to return. Gunn revealed that filming would take place in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm from Georgia. With major crew changes from the first film, that his brother Sean Gunn, who returned as Gorgon, one of the Ravagers, like second in command to Yondu, you know, and Karen Gillan came back. He explained his relationship with Marvel Studios, saying the company let me go and do my thing, and I truly listened to their notes and ideas. I never been told about any character or plot element at all. When they just trust you, they give you a wide berth. We just fit. In May, Gunn said the sequel will feature fewer characters than the first one. That he planned to introduce 2 major new characters in the script: Mantis and Adam Warlock. Uh, Mantis in the series, but I think Adam Warlock will go on to be in the sequel, the third movie, I believe, that came out in 2023. Talks have begun with an actor Gunn hitting in mind to portray Mantis, but he decided to remove Warlock due to the film getting too busy. Explain one of the main things with Guardians of the Galaxy is not added to a bunch of characters, not to make bigger in a way to make it, but to go deeper with the characters and getting to know them more emotionally. Everything is just getting too sprawling, too crazy for me. And these new superhero comic book movies, Gunn added, I adored what we've done here with him. I think we did something really creative and unique with Adam Warlock, but it was one character too many, and I didn't want to lose Mantis, and Mantis was more part of the movie anyway, which is a smart move. I could get not adding too many characters, maybe saving characters. Like I said, Adam Warlock, I believe the character will go on to be in the third movie, so sometimes you can save characters for another movie. I get it, you don't want to add too much. He's not being like Simon Kinberg or Bryan Singer with X Men Apocalypse and Marvel is just trying to throw a bunch of characters in one movie, and it just doesn't work. You know. Yeah. The character's future introduction is hinted at one of the film's mid-credit scenes, though. Gunn noticed that Marvel gave him some blowback for including the Warlock teaser because they felt fans would believe the character would be appearing in Infinity War in Endgame, which is not the case. But including the scene, Gunn promised Marvel he would use social media to clarify for the fans the character would not be in either of the Avengers films, which is fine, and he's not. We had him in the third movie, so after the film's announcement, though, writing, Gunn said he had a lot of where I wanted to go in the sequel. The backstory of Peter Quill and his father and his history with Yondu during the making of the first film, with the intention of exploring them in a future film. Gunn's earliest idea for the Guardians sequel involves Rocket and Groot starring as the main characters in the story, fleshing out the former's origin story, but Gunn felt that he had to flesh out Peter Quill's origin first. Gunn wanted to give the sequel a different structure from the first film, since one of the reasons people like Guardians is because it's fresh and different. So the second one will be fresh and different from the first one, which it is. That's what you're supposed to do, sequel. You gotta make it different from the first movie and have a different story, and sometimes bring characters and go in a different direction with it. That's what you should do. Before starting on the script, Gunn hoped to further explore Drax, Nebula, and the Collector, and spend on Azardan, Kree, Galarian, Ravager culture. He also hoped to introduce more female characters, though he wanted to avoid including Earthlings such as Carl Danvers as well as Novus or Sam Alexander. I think Quills being the only Earthling is important. The serves of the entire movie going audience and not just a handful of Nova. The character Darkwood also had been considered for the film. Feige said that expressing Quill's father would certainly be part of the next Guardians Adventure, adding, I think there's a reason we're seated at the very end of the first film. Gunn also stated that he wanted to make sure Yondu's place and everything made sense to his relationship with Quill and his father. Also revealed that Quill's father would not be Johnson in the comics. Gunn was less confident going by in Baby Groot than including Echo, since the Adult Groot was the most popular character from the first film. He didn't think that he wanted to risk a good thing. However, by changing Groot, Gunn felt it opened the film up, briefly allowing Gunn to bring out new aspects for the characters. Gunn said that Thanos would only appear in the sequel if it only helps our story and would not show up at all. Thanos is not the most important thing in the Guardians 2, that's for damn sure. Guardians themselves and other threats the Guardians are going to be facing that are not Thanos. That are not Thanos. Free said later confirmed that Thanos would not appear in the sequel, which is fine. He's safe for. We won't see the Guardians again though in Avengers Infinity War and Game, of course. That's where we see Thanos. So, there was no reason for Thanos to be in this movie at all, in my opinion. No reason. When asked about how the film will connect with the other Phase 3 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Gunn said, I don't feel beholden to stealth at all. I think it's really about the Guardians and what they're doing. Gunn said the film 2-3 months after the first film. He just felt the group are just egos and he didn't think the story could start years later. Major planets visited in the film, including Saturn, Beheart. Feige said also that 2 or 3 other worlds will be seen as well. A little bit of Earth in the film, but it's not these characters going to Earth. In December 2014, Gunn revealed the story for the film was written. It's still shooting, but I like it's pretty strong. I'm excited about it. By early February 2015, Gunn was a few short weeks away from submitting a full story treatment. As he developed the story, Gunn considered to have Gamora killed off due to Zoe's on his representations to only play the role in the first film. Zolundis did not wish to play Gamora for years. Gunn considered to have Gamora sacrifice herself at the end of the film to save Peter, so he could learn about himself, which I'm glad didn't happen. Gamora, in addition to their plans to have Gamora die in Infinity War, instead as Christopher has informed Gunn, very much planning by him too. After discussing it with Gamora to die in the third Avengers movie, Gunn ultimately concluded that the story progressed in a way that insisted that Yondu should be the one to die at the end to rescue Quill. Spoiler alert, yeah. There's gonna be spoilers in this review, by the way. If you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, don't watch this review. Gunn announced on social media that they completed the first draft of the screenplay, that the film's title will be Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And Dave Bautista came back with Cooper and Diesel. Gunn said on Facebook that he wanted to use Sneakers as an alien race that first appeared in Marvel Comics in 1964. At the end of the month, Feige stated cast announcements will be made before the end of 2015. Also, for that, Matthew McConaughey originally turned down the role of the villain in the film in favor of doing The Dark Tower, which I heard The Dark Tower, yeah, but the Idris Elba, I heard that, I haven't seen that movie, but from what I heard, it was a box office bomb, and I heard it sucked. So, yeah. Shame on you, Matthew McConaughey. Gunn said that he was conspiring with John C. Reilly by him responding his role as the character. But Kurt Russell entered talks to play Cole's father. After the death of David Bowie in January 2016, Gunn said that he would have been discussions for Bowie to appear in the film as John Dee's original crew. Gunn also stated that he had prepared the final draft of the script. Bennett Totoro, who portrayed the Collector in the first film, is interested in portraying the character again. The fact we're not contacting him about the sequel. It just didn't fit into the movie, which is understandable. I mean, what story can you serve to the purpose of the story? Yeah. Other props he created for the film, including 2 sets of blasters for Quill, blaster cartridges, and steamboat looking, and of course, you got Star-Lord in his mask. Yeah. Pre-shooting began filming on February 11, 2016 at the Pinewood Atlanta Studios in Fayette County, Georgia, under the working title Level Up. But Henry Graham served as cinematographer and Scott Chillis as production designer. Gunn knows that the crew, such as Ben Davis and production designer Charles Wood, signed on to work on Doctor Strange, and due to late change the production schedule for that film, they were able to work on Volume 2. Filming began on February 17th, when Marvel confirmed that Russell had joined the cast. Production used all 18 stages at Pinewood Atlanta Studios, and stage plays from use of the first film. Gunn said the sequel requires more sets than the first, and sets are large, even though a lot of the film was CGI. I like to have as many practical sets as we can, the environment as real as possible, past the CGI limits. Kind of neon jungle in his own way, covered in ice and snow. Volume 2 was the first one to be shot with the AK Illusion camera, the Brad Weapon K. Sylvester Stallone was also revealed to be in the film, with the role of being as Starkey, or I can't say the name right. Yeah. The film does have some beautiful visual effects. Visual effects for the film created by Framstein, Method Studios, Animal Logic, Scaling FX. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Brian Taylor came back to do the score. For the marketing of the movie, though, for the film's release, of course, we got the trailer. You already know Kurt Russell's in the movie. You should know Kurt Russell's his father. In the film, I mean, Echo. But you would know that if you've seen the trailer. It's in the trailer, so it's not much of a spoiler. Yeah. But I think Dairy Queen had stuff food throughout the movie. Yeah. They had some of the characters on chips. You have like music box, and I remember the characters being on Doritos chips and stuff. Yeah, and they had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 M&M special boxes for the characters. Yeah, yeah. There was also Guardians of the Galaxy 2 uh, yogurt or something like that. Yeah, can't really see it here, but pictures of the characters there. But I do remember the marketing for this film. And like I said, yeah. Okay, yeah. Sure. Guardians cups, Volume 2 cups. Yeah. And a guy in the commercial telling him, oh, telling a new employee, don't clean Star Lord all day because I guess they had like cardboard cutouts for the characters and stuff. Yeah. All right. And for the cast of the movie, though, you have Chris Pratt coming back as Peter Quill, Star Lord, half human, half serial leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, who was adopted from Earth as a child. If you've seen the first movie, he was adopted by the Ravagers, but for a reason, which you will figure out in this film when I talk about it. Before I get into the review, talk about the movie itself before I get into that. But he got kidnapped. You've seen where you fight Ronan, where Ronan touched the Infinity Stone, which a mortal can't touch without dying, and Peter was able to touch it. And Guardians helped, and of course they defeated Ronan, the Accuser. Yeah. And Chris Pratt, of course, he would come back and finish Infinity War, Endgame, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I guess is his last time as the character. He was in the Magnificent 7 remake. Onward, he did a voice work for that. The Super Mario Bros. Movie, I think he voiced Mario. Yeah, and Jurassic World movies, which I'm not a fan of. I still haven't seen. I've seen a little bit of Domain, just a little bit of it. Movie 43, yeah, that film was just awful. Yeah, yeah, I think he was in Delivery Man with Vince Vaughn. Yeah. And Zoe Saldana comes back as Gamora. She's a member of the Guardians. She's from Nanoware who seeks redemption for her past crimes. She was trained by Thanos to be a skillful assassin. Yeah, she of course was in the Star Trek movies. I'm talking about the reboot from 2009 and Star Trek Into Darkness, Star Trek Beyond, which came out the year before this, and Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of Black Pearl. She was in that. I wish she had more to do in those movies, you know. But she was in Star Trek. She was at Death and a Funeral, Columbiana, which I've never seen. I'm not really a fan. I'm sorry, I didn't like her in Avatar. Yeah, she looked a little bit. I think she looks better in Green, but that's just me. And her acting is a lot better. And of course, she's in more Avatar movies. David Bautista as Jax the Destroyer, a member of the Guardians and a highly skilled warrior. I like what they do with Drax. They make him a little more funnier in this sequel, which is cool. I know Batista's done some other movies as well. You probably know him as a wrestler. And of course, he would go on to be in Infinity War and Endgame. And of course, Guardians 3. Yeah. Vin Diesel's big group. He's one of the Guardians. He was a tree like humanoid. And he's the accomplice of Rocket. Yeah. And yeah, I love Baby Groot in this movie. Baby Groot is very cute. Yeah. Vin Diesel, he's with, well, like the Iron Giant. And you know him for dominant run on the Fast and Furious franchise. I wish they stopped making those movies. And the movie called XX, which is an action film. Yeah, he was also on Saving Private Ryan. The Pacifier I didn't care too much about. Yeah. I know he was an XX return of coming back as Andrew Cage, which I heard that wasn't a good sequel. And Bradley Cooper as the voice of Rocket. Remember the Guardians? He was a generally injured raccoon-based bounty hunter, mercenary, and master of weapons and battle tactics. Bradley Cooper, the Hangover movies, the A-Team remake. Yeah, he's in that. A Star Wars Born. Not going to go through all his performances, but of course, I think he'll come back as the voice of Rocket and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and Guardians 3. And Michael Rooker as Yondu. He is a blue skin pioneer of the Ravagers. Michael Rooker has been in some movies himself, of course. Michael Rooker's a good actor. Yeah, yeah. That I guess to promote the movie, he came to Comic Con to dress as his character Yondu. Yeah, but he was like in movies like Running Cop. He was in Above the Law, playing a man in a bar. He was also in JFK, Cliffhanger with Stallone, Tombstone, which is funny. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about, it, yeah, he was. Yeah, Michael Rooker was in Tombstone, and of course Kurt Russell played Wyatt Earp. So they got to work together again. And they both worked with Stallone because Kurt Russell he worked with Stallone in the 1989 action thriller movie, action buddy cop movie. I'm sorry, Tango and Cash, and Michael Rooker was a Cliffhanger that was with Stallone, and I forgot the two of them were in Tombstone together. So yeah, and he does a voices Red Dot character, short film, for both for DC though. Kira Gillian comes by Nebula. She's the daughter of Thanos, who has raised with Gamora, and a former enemy of the Guardians. Kara Gillan, she was in those Jumanji remakes, which I don't really care to see sequels of to the Jungle and stuff. And I do like her though, and she does come back as Nebula in Infinity War and Endgame and Guardians. I mean, not Guardians. Yeah, Guardians 3. Yeah, she comes back in that. Pamela Colt as Mantis. This is the new character Mantis in the film. Yeah. Oh, look how cute she is. She's a creature with the Emperor of Guardians. She has empathic powers who lives with Echo. She can touch you by when she touches you, she knows how you're feeling, what you're feeling. But Boom Ghetto, a very cute actress as well. Says she's in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I still haven't seen that. I have the movie, but I haven't watched it yet. And she has a cameo as a dancer in the Suicide Squad, and Thor Love and Thunder and Guardians 3. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, because Thor kind of joins up with the Guardians. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen Avengers Endgame. Oh, and I'm sure they come back as the characters in the Galaxy Christmas special. Yeah. I am thinking about giving that a review in December. I'm sorry about the quality of the video. Yeah. And Sylvester Stallone as Stargate Orc, a high-ranking manager who was a grudge. Now, Stallone, you probably know him from the Rocky, Rambo movies, but Stallone has done other movies as well. Uh, like I said, Cliffhanger, Tango and Cash, Cobra, I love Cobra, uh, Demolition Man. I can go through a lot, but I'm not going to sit here and do that. Kurt Russell as Echo, who, like I said, Robert Stallone, Tango and Cash. Kurt Russell is an ancient Soto who was Quill's father, and who, spoiler alert, is the villain of the film. But Kurt Russell, great actor. Overboard, my mom likes that movie. He did that with his wife. That movie with his wife Goldie Hawn, who I believe he's still married to. Escape from L.A. and Escape from New York. Escape from New York with John Carpenter, Big Trouble in Little China, playing Snake Plissken, and Tombstone, which again Michael Rooker was in that movie. And another superhero movie he did that was Sky High. Yeah, and I really like the movie Breakdown. That's a good film. Yeah, that he did. You know, with MC Gainey and the late J.T. Walsh. Yeah. Backdraft. Captain Ron. I never seen that, but I think that was by Disney. Was it? I think it was. Yeah. But I gotta see Captain Ron, which I never seen that movie. Yeah, and he was in the recent Furious movies. Yeah. And Elizabeth Dacko appears as Aisha, the Golden High Priest, leader of the Saboteur people. She was alright. Yeah. She does come back in the third movie. Seen any of the movies? No. And I believe that is it for the cast. Stan Lee does have a cameo, and maybe he's also an executive producer on the film as well. Because Stanley, before he passed away, would do cameos in all his Marvel movies that were made. Sean Gunn appears as Cortland, coming back. Yeah, like I said, Yondu second in command of the Ravagers. Yeah. And Stanley has appeared as an emperor to the Watchers, discussing previous adventures that includes cameos in other MCU films. Yeah. And of course, Howard the Duck, you do see him in here as well. Debbie Hammond. David Hamill. David Hasselhoff makes a cameo appearance as well. Sorry. And for the people, the other crew that worked on the movie, that it was directed and written by James Gunn. James Gunn. You talk about superhero movie Super with Rainn Wilson. That was a good movie. That is an R-rated movie. That is not. It's okay for your kids to watch these Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but don't let them watch Super because it's about a character named Crimson Bolt who hits people in the face with a wrench. Yeah, yeah, and it's a real strong rated R movie. But he also wrote the scripts for the Scooby Doo movies from 2002 and Scooby Doo Monsters Unleashed. And this movie, yeah, and of course, the Suicide Squad. And from what I heard, he's going to be, let's see, he's going to be a producer on the new Supergirl movie. And he's directing the new Superman movie, of course, which I'm not really too excited about. It's based on Guardians of the Galaxy by Dan Abnett and Andy Lightning, produced by Kevin Feige, cinematography by Henry Berman, who's done cinematography films like, let's see, like Crush, Andy McPhee, Flyboys, The Legend of Tarzan, this movie, Maleficent Mistress of Evil, The Suicide Squad, uh, Cinderella 2021, okay. I don't really care to see that. The Roadhouse remake, In the Flash 2023, yeah. It's edited by Fred Riskin and Greg Wood. Fred Riskin, who's done films like Part 8, Boogie Nights, Imposter, Punch Drunk Love, starring Adam Sandler, Kill Bill 1 2, directed by Quentin Tarantino movies, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, Fast 4, Fast 5, Django Unchained, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, this movie. What about any of the third movie? Suicide Squad and third movie. Guardians 3. Volume 3. Greg Wood, who's worked on films like Pirates of the Caribbean, Prince of Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest, Roseanne, Never Back Down, Rango, The Lone Ranger, 2013 film Lone Ranger, that crappy movie. The music is by Tyler Bates. Okay. There's a musical for like Halloween, Halloween 1 and 2. I'm thinking the Rob Zombie ones, yeah, which I've never seen. Any other James Gunn movie? Well, I'm not gonna look up. Yeah. The production company is Marvel Studios, distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It was released May 5th, 2017. It's about 136 minutes long. Not 137, sorry. It's about 2 hours and 16 minutes long. The budget was $200 million to make this movie, and box office made $869 million worldwide. The film received praise for its visual effects. It did outgross the original. It's the eighth highest grossing film of 2017. Soundtrack, action, humor. Though some critics deemed it inferior to the original. It's not inferior to the original. The original was better, but I think it's just as good, in my opinion. Anyway, let me get to the plot synopsis. And again, I'm going to warn you the last time. If you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you probably know, like I said, if you actually just go on YouTube, watch the trailer, you will know that Kurt Russell's character Ego is his father in the movie. So that's not a spoiler because that's in the movie, in the trailer for the film too. But if you've never seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, do not watch this review. Do not spoil it for yourself. Turn the video off right now if you've never seen this movie, okay? But anyway, for the plot, the story of the movie is that Peter Quill, all of his that are now Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, they're still a bit of outlaws, but they go protecting the galaxy is what they do. They're Guardians of the Galaxy. They protect it. Uh, they're known around the galaxy for being hired to do jobs to protect people. Yeah, and they become quite a big team, and they've changed as characters. Of course, they developed since the first movie. Yeah, they're hired by a powerful alien race called the Savania to protect their precious batteries from invaders. But when it's discovered that Rocket has stolen the items they were sent to guard, the Zimmer dispatched their Armageddon to search for vengeance. So they end up hiring Yondu to come after them. As the girls try to escape, though, the mystery of Peter's parentage is revealed. Revealed that his father is Echo. And I'll get more of that played by Kurt Russell. But Echo has some plans for Peter of his own, and sorry, I'm not spinning the camera. Plans of his own, and you find out that he's quite mad and insane, and thinks of himself as very godly, and has some devastating plans, and the Guardians have to stop him and defeat him and take him down. And supposed to deal with it by dealing with the Ravagers and by trying to run from the 700 people that are trying to get them and trying to save the world from Echo, who's planning to destroy he's planning to use his powers to kill billions or trillions of people above the galaxy. So the Guardians, along with Mantis, Nebula, and Yondu, they must stop Echo and defeat him for good, and yeah, and defeat him once and for all. Now, what I think of Guardians 2, this is a fun sequel to watch. I highly recommend it. It's a highly recommended movie. I'm gonna talk about the movie itself, then give my final thoughts on it. But I always felt it was an underrated sequel. Yeah, my favorite Guardians movie will always be the first one. Yeah. But again, I enjoy all of them. Yeah. I'm gonna talk about the movie. So once again, there are going to be spoilers in this review. So if you've ever seen Guardians 2, I'm getting more in depth to it. So maybe I'll read some quotes and give my final thoughts. It's about 9:30. We're about 31 minutes in the video. Okay. All right. Well, the movie opens up in the year 1980. You see Meredith Quill. She's courted by her boyfriend Echo, played by Kurt Russell. We're talking about the CGI. He takes her to a Dairy Queen. He shows her an alien city he had planted, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I love you. There's I love you too, Meredith Quill, and her and Echo share a kiss. And you have a song playing, Brandy has, Brandy, I love that song. Yeah, they kiss, and of course they make a baby that is Peter Quill, Star Lord himself. And the film takes 34 years later. You know, probably I would say Guardians themselves have been maybe together for 2, 3 years. Well, about 3 years. I would say they've been, you know, within the galaxy. The Guardians of the Galaxy, they get renewed as heroes for defeating Ronan. So people hire them to do jobs or to protect the galaxy. They'll protect stuff, and they're good in with the Nova Corps, who wanted to arrest them for their criminals, but they erased that for them. So the Guardians are like heroes, and yeah, sometimes they do rotten stuff too. They're still some of them are deep down still criminals. Sometimes can't help but to steal something. Yeah, because you got to remember in the first movie they started off not as heroes, but as like kind of like bad. They were like bad people when they started out. But in this movie they grow a little more. But they accept a job from this woman named Asha, leader of the Sovereign, to defend valuable batteries from the this monster, which it works. They talk, and funny things like, okay, y'all, Charles like, all right, y'all get ready. This big badass is coming. We need to defeat it. And Rocket has to, Drax doesn't want to wear his booster. He's like, that hurts my nipples. And he's like, my nipples are very sensitive. He's like, yeah, I will put on his nipples. Don't hurt him. And it's so funny. Rocket is also hilarious in this movie. You know, he's like, I can see you winking. And the animal comes, the giant creature comes, they fight it. And then you get the opening titles of Baby Groot just dancing to the song Mr. Blue Sky. Just, yeah, Master Peter's like, no, get that out of your mouth. You know, and Peter's like, like he sees some of the characters just fighting, and the starts like, you know, he's like, Groot, watch out. And he sees Gamora like, Groot, look out. Hi. And so you have to fight. And, go, Drax almost falls on Baby Groot. Baby Groot is frozen. And he's like this. And Drax is staring at him. He's like, but he falls on the CD because Gorilla listens to his music. And he's like, the music is not needed, even though Rocket's like, I'm sure that's needed. But they defeat the creature because he's like, I gotta go inside the mouth. I was like, no, you don't need to do like more, says the Drax. Drax just touches the creature. Starts cutting in the beast's belly. Yeah. And Star-Lord was able to use his mask and able to fly up. sorry, fly, uses Rocket to fly up. Rocket destroy, Rocket Raccoon, distracts it. Like Gamora uses her sword to open his body. And I love it when he falls out of the stomach. I'm talking about Drax, and he's all gooey and messed up, like we defeated. And then he gets some like a little piece of rocket set by Baby Ray's like, what? And I think the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's like, hey guys, be careful what you say because these people get sensitive. Rocket gets smart with them. And he's like, what have you, Peter, Mr. Quill? What about your family heritage? I was like, I only have my mother from Earth. My father, well, he ain't from. I'm told he ain't from Missouri. Yeah, and they take their stuff, go, and Groot says to Drax, "I stole their batteries." And as they get ready to go, uh, Gamora locks up her sister, and like kind of like next to the bottom of the ship or whatever. You know, Nebula still wants revenge, and her main goal is to defeat and kill Gamora. And Gamora's like, "You're not gonna chase her, go to prison. That's where they're gonna take her. You're gonna go to jail. That's where you're gonna go, sis." Yeah. As the Guardians take off, the Seven Earths who yeah, they have this fleet of Amani crafts that it's like kind of like a game, if you will, on an arcade, where they're shooting at them as they attack the Guardians. Yeah, and they get on the rocket. Rocket's like, I'm the best pilot, and this is argument of saying, if you do that, I'll put a turn in your bed. It's like I'll put your hair whatever. It was like you better not put a turn in my bed. I'll shave your hair. You know, because like that one was rocket, and then I mean Drax, and Drax is like my turns are huge. Something like that. I thought was funny. They get heavily damaged the first crash land. They get destroyed by Echo. They say, who's that guy? And it's Echo in his ship. This is like a giant egg to me. Yeah. And the Guardians start to argue. Peter's like, oh, you're a raccoon freak or whatever. He's like, you're dirt trash or whatever. You're panda. Was like, and he's like, I'm gonna get you in there, must fight. But Echo shows up saying, he's like, well, I've been searching for about time, Peter. I've been searching you for many years. I'm your dad. I'm your father. He's like, what? Yeah. And Echo return to his home. They have a campfire. They have a campfire night, and well, when you see Quill, I mean not Quill, Fudge, Yondu, see that he's just hanging out with his men, and Yondu's been through a lot. He's done some stuff that he's regretting, and he kidnapped children. The Ravagers are threatening to have him fired. He's been a Ravager for a very long time, and he thinks he deserves his respect. And Stallone is like one of the characters, one of the leads there, and Stallone tells him, we don't respect you, because of what you do, because we don't kidnap children for money. Did you find out he kidnapped children for money, for Echo? You know, Echo tells Peter that he hired Yondu many years ago after his mother died to find him and bring him to him. But he didn't. Yondu kept him. And so left Echo to try to find Peter for many years because he heard of the man who carried an Infinity Stone in his hand. Star-Lord, and that's how he knew it was Peter. And he does ask him, why'd you leave mom? Why did you? Well, before he answers the questions, he's like, I'm gonna go take a whiz. And him and Gamora talk, saying, you give your father a chance. This is your father. So that if they leave, that is Gamora and Drax go with them. Rocket and crew remain to appear the Menelo and guard Nebula. But, you know, Star-Lord says to Groot, not Groot, I mean Rocket. Rocket says something to him like, I hope Daddy isn't as big as a jerk as you are. And he's like, are you getting everybody to hate you right now? Because it's working. And they go away. They go with Echo to his planet. And we'll get to Echo's Planet. It's very beautiful. A lot of the visual effects are very beautiful in this movie, especially on Echo's Planet. This is a beautiful looking movie, you know. Yeah. But anyway, Yondu, after his argument with Stallone, he gets hired by She hires him, pays him, gonna pay him some good money to bring them and the Guardians back to her, captured. Uh, Yondu was able to. They do track down the Millennium and capture Rocket. They capture Rocket. I mean, well, Rocket says some. Well, first of all, we give it Echo on the planet. And they said it was our. He's like, well, I am this planet. He's like, so you're basically like God. Well, with the small G son. And Echo tells him about the worlds he's met and the plans that seeds that he's been planning for years. How he met his mom, and that he had a reason for leaving her. Tells her that though he has to cut return, you know, he saw his mother 3 times after that, one more time, but he'll lose his powers, his ability if he doesn't return back to his form. And I do like it when Drax says, "Do you have do you have a penis?" And he's like, "Dude, come on, you really have to mention that?" And Echo's like, "Yeah, Drax, I do have a penis, and a well-handled one. If that one." I was kidding, which I thought was hilarious. That I remember people just laughing in the movie theater when I saw this in theater, and him talking about the penis, his penis and stuff, and you know how Peter came to be. He's like Peter, and out of that love, great love for your mother had that came you for Meredith, But Rocket sets up traps, and I like the music score on scene where he shows them, he gives some guys like polka dots in their face, like tasers in their face or whatever. Taser face, not gonna get that later, but like sets up traps, like ground grenades kind of, and to shock them. He's a blow which a couple times, but eventually, um, you know, Yondu has the whistle, you know, stops him. He's like, stop now, and Nebula escapes to shoot Yondu in the head because Taserface believes that he's a week later. He's like immunity from Nebula, who tricked Groot into fearing her, and Taserface like I'm taking over now, because they think that he's gone soft, that he's just too soft. And they meet, of course, Mantis. Mantis is he goes home. He's a living planet as an essence of his body. He's a central who created a humanoid avatar to travel the galaxy and interact with other species. Cool. Peter soon learns that he can access and live with the power of Echo's planet. Mantis becomes friendly. But they meet Mantis, they ask about her. He knows the person. Well, I've never been asked a question before. And Mantis's purpose there is to put him to sleep. Say sleep. You know, help him rest. Because Echo has a lot of thinking, a lot of composing to do. So she's there to serve him, to be his master. And she's like, "Why don't you person can sense what they're feeling?" And she touches Peter. Star Lord's like, "You have a sexual, romantic feeling for her." And Lord's like, and I love him. Group's, not group tracks like, you think he's already, do me, and touches him, and they start laughing. It's just more and more. Gravitor's like, touch me, and the only thing you feel is about your arm broken. You got that? And it's like, okay, I can also feel when a person is down and they're feeling, yeah, yeah. And Drax tells her at the film, you were so ugly, and a pet, you know. She wants to tell him, almost tells him a secret, but Gamora's a little suspicious of why they're there. She kind of finds Ego a little suspicious. Her and Peter talk about it, and they try to dance. She's like, I haven't heard nothing from Rocket. What's going on here? What are we doing here? He's like, well, this is my phone. This is my home. You can be here with me. I finally have my family. They're arguing. He's like, I don't know what that is, Peter. He's like, and I thought we were your family. I thought we were your family. I thought you already had. Us, the Guardians, is what she's talking about. Meanwhile, Yondu gets betrayed and captured by his own men. Taser Face imprisons Rocket and Yondu. But what I liked about it though is Rocket teases him with Taser Face. I feel threatened by a guy named Taser Face. And he's like, when you have tasers coming out of your eyes, he's like, the guy wakes up in the morning, taking his name seriously, like, that name Taser Face, makes fun of him. That was hilarious. They tie him up. They ask Baby Groot to get them a key to get them, Yondu the hat that he was talking about to control, what do you call it, of the arrow that he uses blows like a helmet, like a hat he needs, and he's missing it. And he brings them a desk, brings them Yondu's underwear, brings them all the wrong kind of stuff, which is hilarious. Until Sean Gunn's character, I forget his character's name, but helps them out. It's like because they do kill his friend, kill his crew. Yondu just kind of gave up and realized I've done so many bad things and in my life, so many regrets. I deserve this. Rory's like, I don't deserve this. But they get out, and it's a badass moment where Yondu's able to, yeah. I like it when Rocket just shoots a guy through a hole, through the wall, and has that badass look on his face. And they're just laughing. Joe's like, and he kills Taserface by blowing him up. And he sends them a signal where the Guardians are going to be at, going to Echo's planet. He's like, remember, my name is Taserface. And he's like, and Taserface dies in the explosion. Nebula also takes the ship and leaves. She trashed down, tries to kill Gamora. Gamora's got that big badass gun. They fight. And she goes like, I defeated you. Is that what you wanted? Because I wanted to win. I didn't want you to win. I wanted a sister. You know. She did want love for Gamora. She wanted. Nebula does love her sister. But Gamora was so competitive, and so they would fight all the time, and she felt like she didn't get respect from her sister. And you tell that, that's all she wanted was a sister. I like that little moment. That's what I love about the Guardians movie. They have good character moments where I can care about the characters. Not like in the, X Men Dark Phoenix or X Men Apocalypse, where I just don't care about nobody. You know, if you're gonna have characters in a movie, think about like Gunn knows how to write a script and make a good story. To connect with the characters. Like when Drax is talking to her and talking to Mantis, she has the feeling about when he's talking about his daughter, she could like feel his pain. That was a sad moment, and there's funny moments with the characters too. Yeah, yeah. Originally, Yondu was hired to deliver Quill after his mother's death. He reveals to Rocket that he decided to keep Quill safe in his own way instead of handing him over to Echo. Oh, it's an error control for Yondu. Like I said, crackling. Sean Gunn finds it. Sorry, but after their fight, Nebula and they find the craters beneath Echo's planet, discover hundreds of skeleton remains. Basically, our children. Spoiler alert: said he's the villain. After her and Groot talked, after Gamora and him got into an argument, he talked to Peter that he can control more power. He's like, "Come on, Peter, you can just focus that power." And they're like playing ball, and then like he's smiling, they're throwing the ball at each other. Or he's talking to him, the song Brandy, using it by talking it, and he's like, Peter, there's so much we can do. He's like, I could create like a big old man that you whatever you want, son. But it'll take you billions of years to do it, but you'll get it. But like I said, with Echo's planet, there's these millions of bodies under there. There's these hundreds of bodies that are children, and you know, Gamora attacks, not attacks, but starts choking. Mantis says, "What is this? What are you doing here? I knew you were saying something, Mantis. Something is up." He's like, he's planning to use him. Mantis will turn him to his side. Echo reveals his master plan to quote, he traveled to the universe in hopes of finding the life forms he found disappointing. He planted seeds on thousands of worlds that would terraform them into an extension of Echo. But he needed Second Chill's power to activate the seeding, so he needed a baby with that. So the ones that pretty much he hired Yondu to find these babies, he killed them. Yondu found out what he was doing, and he did it to protect Peter. He was joking about eating him, but he decided to protect Peter, and in a way, Yondu was actually like his father because Yondu raised him. Echo wanted to kill him, you know, or would have tried. Hmm. So he conceived children with hundreds of women all across the galaxy, and hired Yondu savages to collect them. Every other child was killed when they proved unable to access that power. But Quill can harness the power, and Echo uses him to develop the seedings, which begin their transformation that will eventually consume every world, and every person. Quill gets hypnotized by the power. He's like, oh, so powerful. He comes close to him to the side. He's like, that's why, until Echo reveals that he's the one that put that tumor in her head and he killed his own mother. He's like, and Peter hears this and Peter's like, sort of like, what? You killed my mother? Shoots him with his blasters. He's like, and Echo, I like his reaction, like, who the hell do you think you are? And he uses his powers on him. He's like, oh, it's the music. So lame and so overrated. He destroys his radio. Oh, by the way, this is done by Father. This Father Son story was done a lot better, much better than the whole Hulk and Lee's Hulk, by the way. Why? Because it's not boring, and I like the story, and I like the characters and the lead. So, yeah. Mantis informs Gamora and Drax and Nebula of X-Men just as Rocket, Groot, and Yondu arrive. United, the Guardians fight their way through a fleet of servant drones, as well as Echo himself. Some of these servants try to attack them. You know, wham bam, something going on. That was entertaining to listen to. It's like, I was gonna eat your water, just joking. And they're shooting at each other. Echo comes to life. Just you see him as a big, scary-looking planet coming to attack, trying to use his powers on them. Yeah, I like the scene where Rocket puts like these bombs around these rocks. That Echo tries to use these rocks as hands to grab at the Guardians. Rocket blows it up. He's able to use a force shield on himself. Then Groot plants a bomb made from the stone, so they put on Echo's brain so that will destroy him. And you know, and I do like the moment in the music. He's like, Peter, quit fighting me, Peter. You're pissing. Because what you're doing is pissing me off. Comes back and his performance is pretty creepy, and the music score is pretty creepy as well. Like I'm gonna say, Kurt Russell was probably the best villain in my opinion. In my opinion, he's the best villain in the movie. The two villains really wasn't interesting. In the third movie, the villain was screaming way too much. Many things I liked about him, but I always felt like Kurt Russell Echo was intimidating and threatening, especially because he was very godly and very powerful. He's probably, I would say, Echo is one of the best MCU villains in my opinion because he's one of the most powerful ones in my opinion. You know, but him and Peter fight. He's like, "You're pissing me off," He's like, "Well, you just be God," you know, golly, and they fight. Like they go through like rocks. Like he turns to a giant rock man. Peter turns into a giant rock man. I think it's a better fight as they're punching each other, using their powers. You know, and Peter stop. Peter's like, "I'm Groot pushes the button, and it's gonna explode within 5 seconds." I can't barely speak. Anyway, he fights Echo, and he was like, "No, let me stop it. Let me stop it." He's like, "No." He's like, "Let me stop it. Let me stop it." And he's like, "No, they're not going to let you destroy it." And he almost destroys billions of lives on these planets that he's putting on. But Peter, using his powers, is able to stop his father. He's like, "No, Peter. we're becoming, we're immortal. You become mortal. You'll be just like everyone else. Is like that's not such a bad thing, and Ego gets destroyed. He disintegrates because he's lived for thousands of billions or something years. So he disintegrates, and Peter can die too. But Yondu flies in. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the whole. Well, I'll probably mention it later. But anyway, Yondu flies in, and he's like, he flies about, uses the rocket, and they're gonna go in space, and he's gonna use it on him to save him. He's like, I love it when he says that when he has him in the air. He's like, he may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. He's like, I said, I'm damn lucky you were my boy. I'm so sorry I could have done so much better. I love you. But it's not like that. But, done so much better. Damn lucky you're my boy. Smiles at him and he sacrifices his life and Yondu saves him. He's like, Yondu, no. You know. And he's crying over his body. He's like, no, Yondu, no. Hugging on him. And I thought that was just a very tearing moment. It was really heartbreaking. And they throw a funeral for him. It's like, Yondu was my real father, and it's just a sad moment. And he kind of like in a furnace in space, gets his body, gets his body ashes. The Ravagers, including Stallone's character, come to say goodbye. I like it when Sean goes like, yeah, yeah. And then we're doing this. Respect to Yondu, you know. Which I like that moment. That you got Michelle Yeoh, I believe, in this movie as well. Yeah, and Ving Rhames playing a Ravager. They were doing this out of respect. That was a great moment. They cremate Yondu's ring and release his ashes into space. And that the Ravagers accept him because he was a true Ravager at heart. Afterwards, Sean Gunn's character, he takes the arrow. Wilco takes a piece of music he saved up for him. And I like it. The movie ends there, and Nebula goes away. Nebula, her and Gamora, she's like, I'm gonna go kill Thanos. And they give each other a hug. Which I like. That was a sad moment. But then the movie ends with the funeral, with Ravager's funeral. Guardian saved the day. Well, you say Yondu did. And they give him a recent funeral, and the movie ends there. And I like it though when Sean Gunn's character, he's trying to give him do the whistle with the spear, and he does it the wrong way, and it hits Drax like Drax, and Sean Gunn's like runs. I thought that was hilarious, so funny. But Sean Gunn runs away, and we get some post credit scene with the Scavenger. She creates Adam Warlock. Then you see Stan Lee at the end. Our group, you see group becoming a teenager, and you're like, pick up all these sticks and pick up that and whatever. He's like, I'm not sure. I know who Yondu felt when I was a teenager. But then you have Stanley talking to forget these characters' names, but Stanley's like, tell me my story. Guys, don't leave me here. Where am I going to get home? And that was hilarious. I really enjoyed that scene. And that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Let me read some quotes real quick. Sorry. Pretty quick. You look like Mary Poppins. Is he cool? Hell yeah, he's cool. I'm Mary Poppins, yo. That was funny. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. What are you going to do with your share? As a child, my father would have more me about one another train. Every time my sister prevailed, my father would replace a piece of me with the machinery, claiming he wanted me to be her equal. But she wanted again, never once reframing. But after I murder my sister, I'll be a worship whenever conceivable and short of death. I will hunt my foe like a dog, and I will tear him apart slowly, piece by piece. Still, he knows some of the proper and innocent pain I knew every single day. Yeah, I was talking about like a pretty necklace or a nice thing, but something. Maybe the other girls, oh, that's nice. It's like, good luck with that. Happy trails. It's beautiful. It is, and yours, and so are you on the inside. I am Groot. What's that? He says, welcome to the freaking Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, he didn't use freaking. We need to talk about your language problem. Riley says to Baby Groot, you shouldn't have killed my mom and squeezed my Walking Man. Yeah, those are two types of beings in the universe. Those are dancing, those do not. Does anybody not have any tape out there? I want to put some tape with the death button. I don't have any tape. Let me check you, Yon. Do you have any? Do you have any tape? Come on, do you have any tape? Tape? Never mind. Trash, do you have any tape? Not a single person's tape. Nope. Do you ask Nebula? Yes. Are you sure? I asked Yondu. She was sitting right next to him. I knew you were lying. You have priceless batteries, and I'll time bomb your bag. And if anybody's gonna have tape, it's you. That's really my point. I do everything around here. You're wasting a lot of time here. We're all gonna die. So we're all having the galaxy again? I guess. Awesome. We're really gonna be able to jack up our prices at the two-time exhausters. Sorry. Trying to get the one with the taser face on. Listen to me, you are a god. If you kill me, you would just be like everybody else. What is it? What's wrong with that? No. And he dies. Okay. I don't sit here and reach some questions, but the film does have a lot of funny dialogue in it. You know it if you've seen the movie. That has a lot of humor in it, so which is with Marvel, which is fine. But to give my final opinion on Guardians 2, yeah, I'm about to be done here, folks. Let me give my final opinion and I'll be done with this review. Anyway, final thoughts. I love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is an awesome sequel. I would say it's an underrated sequel. It's not better than the first movie. The first movie is a lot better, but I do think it's just as good. Before I get to any issues I have, though, I will say this. I think it is a well-made movie. I think it has a good story. I like how we see Peter's past and how him learning to deal with it and what the Guardians are going through in this one. How the characters change a lot. I love the humor in the movie. The story I thought was pretty interesting. And guys, it's 2 hours 16 minutes, but it doesn't feel like it. It goes by at a good pace. But all those moments are very entertaining. Each scene is very fun to watch. It's entertaining. The humor works. James Gunn did a great job directing and writing. It's not like it's a 2 hour movie like X-Men Apocalypse where you're bored to death. Yeah, Echo was more of a threat, by the way, than Apocalypse, and he's played by Kurt Russell, so I can't complain. Kurt Russell does a fantastic job because he's a great actor. It was awesome that him, uh, Stallone, and them did a movie, because all those, Kurt Russell, Stallone, and Michael Rooker got to all be in the same movie here. Because, like I said, Kurt Russell and Michael Rooker were in Tombstone. Uh, Kurt Russell and Stallone were in Tango and Cash. You know, and Michael Rooker and Stallone, of course, were in, like I said, the Cliffhanger from 1993. So that was awesome to see them on screen again. The cast is pretty good. Again, Chris Pratt as Star-Lord does a great job. Uh, Zoe Zalanda as Gamora, she does great once again. Bradley Cooper as Rocket. And Michael Rooker, he gives the best performance in the movie, in my opinion. And like I said, it's really sad when Yondu dies, and was the real father figure for him. I like Mantis, the actress who plays her. She did a very good job. Baby Groot is a very cute character in the film. You know, it's a very entertaining sequel. I never understand why people disliked it, but I think cinematography is nice. The editing is good. The action scenes are well shot. The film is visually, the visuals in the movie are very beautiful. Echo's planet looks beautiful. The visual effects here, the makeup looks really good. Like on Gamora, Nebula, Yondu, are the Scavengers characters with their gold-looking faces. Or Taserface. Yeah, the name's funny, but the makeup is really good. That's one thing I love about these movies. Yeah, the makeup's really good. You know, yeah, it's a lot better than what we got with X-Men First Class, with like Beast looking like Thundercat or Apocalypse looking like Ivan Ooze or something like that. But they do better with here. They do better with the makeup. The music score is good too. The soundtrack is very good for Guardians 2. Yeah, you get some new 80s songs and stuff. Again, some of these songs are from 70s and 80s and stuff. They're not new. Mr. Blue Sky, Fox on the Brine. My favorite is the Brandy. Brandy, you're a fine girl. Come on a little bit. Yeah, really good music. That's what I love about these movies. They have really good scores. You know, um, any problems? I do think the first movie had a better soundtrack, in my opinion. Like Hooked on a Feeling, Come Get Your Love. I think those are better songs. The Avengers characters, I didn't really care about them too much. They didn't really interest. They're the only part of me, and it didn't really interest me. And Adam Warlock as a character, I'm not interested in. I didn't care for that one scene. I get it though. I guess you gotta have a plot. You gotta have a reason for them to be on the run and meet Echo. So I guess that them being in the movie just kind of drops the story. I get it. They're just trying to drive a story. You gotta have them a reason to meet Echo somehow and get the story going. Yeah. Not saying the actress was bad, but I didn't really care for these Scavengers too much. The characters didn't really interest me. And I wish Stallone would have had more screen time. That would have been nice. I get it. It's a lot to handle in one movie. But if you were taking the Scavengers out and you would add Stallone more, that'd been awesome. And I do wish Stallone was in the third movie more. It was cool to see him in the second movie. He had some good down, like the Ravagers at the end. They're gonna go rob. It's like, guys, let's go steal some shit. That was a badass line for Stallone. So I wanted Stallone more in the movie than the Scavengers characters. I'd rather just have the Ravagers a lot and hear more. That would have been awesome if the Guardians would team up more with the Ravagers and it was a bigger fight. If the stakes were that high with Echo, I could see Stallone being there more. I think Sly Stallone needed more screen time. And a little scene with Kurt Russell would have been nice. And Michael Rooker have a scene with Michael Rooker. Have I seen Kurt Russell? I know Stallone, like I said, Stallone and we're gonna have one scene, but it'll be nice to see more of it though. Especially, them having seen Kurt Russell. Because all three men have worked together in movies before. Some awesome movies, like I said, Tombstone, Tango and Cash, Cliffhanger, Great films in my opinion. Love those movies. And it'd been awesome to see them more screen together. That's the only problems I think I've heard Guardians 2. But despite that, it's still an entertaining sequel. I get it though, it is a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and they are the stars of the movie. And it is also sad to see the Guardians apart though. For most of the movie they are apart, which is sad. But at least in the third movie, you do get to see Guardians more together, which I like. But despite that, it's still a very fun sequel. This is an awesome sequel, great sequel. One of my favorites of all time, I would say. Marvel sequels, yeah. Definitely one of my favorites. It's up there with Avengers Age of Ultron or The Incredible Hulk being underrated Marvel movies. I feel like this is an underrated Marvel film, in my opinion. I feel like people maybe don't like this film too much, which is sad. I would say definitely it's my favorite Guardians sequel. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be Guardians 2. But anyway, guys, uh, yeah, but the cast is really good. Good story. Just some of the problems I do have, like with the Scavengers, still not that need more screen time. And you know, wish some of the Guardians would have been more together on screen. You know, but despite that, it's still an entertaining sequel. And I do think Stallone and Michael Rooker and Kurt Russell should have some screen time together, or more Ravagers in the film. Would be nice. I know we get them at the end, but it'd be cool to see a whole bunch of them fight with the Guardians and stuff. But it's got a good sequel, and it's a very entertaining movie to watch. It never gets boring one bit. And that's one thing about all of this movie is the characters. The characters are well written. James Gunn strives to give you really good characters, and he knows how to develop the characters in his writing. So at least he knows how to do that and give us a good cast, which we have here. You have good characters. That's why this movies work. That's why these movies work because they have good characters and development of the characters. That's why we love the characters. Why we want to make them come back because we want to see Star Lord, Gamora, Groot, Baby Groot, Rocket, and Drax again, and Mantis. You want to keep on seeing Guardians in their next adventures, you know. But anyway, guys, my rating for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 a thumbs up. And my rating for this film is 4 to 5 stars. So, guys, tell me in the comments down below, what do you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's better than the original? How would you rank the Guardians of the Galaxy movies? And what is your And who's your favorite Guardians of the Galaxy member, character? And what's your least favorite movie? So tell me, guys, in the comments down below. What do you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in your opinion? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Alright, guys. Stay tuned for the next review. It might be tomorrow. I don't know. It could be. I might have some things to do tomorrow. I hope it isn't raining on me, but I hope not. Well, for the next 117 review, this is a starring Gal Gadot, and Chris Pine. Robin Wright, I believe, is in this movie too. Danny Houston, Connie Nielsen, that is the 2017 superheroine movie. Well, another female superhero movie. That is Wonder Woman, starring Gal Gadot, the first Wonder Woman movie. So Wonder Woman will be my next super review. So stay tuned for that. For this review. Coming up next. Alright guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you later. Let's go steal some shit. No, I'm just kidding. See you later. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.